So how bad can this get? Well, if you remember from the last module activity, I actually had you compare Earth's albedo to Venus's albedo. And one of the facts that you actually came up with was that Earth actually absorbs more radiation than Venus. However, Venus is much hotter. So why? So first off, just a little bit of housekeeping. Venus is the second closest planet to the sun, with Mercury being the closest and then Earth being the third closest. So Venus is closer to the sun. As a result, Venus is closer to the sun. Venus is also more reflective. But as a result, Venus should get more radiation than the sun. And then which planet has a higher ability to absorb and retain solar energy? So Venus is closer to the sun. Venus is more reflective, if you remember from last time. But Venus is way hotter. So is its ability to absorb and retain solar energy the reason why? Spoiler alert, yes, it is. So obviously we get our energy, both Venus and Earth get their energy from the sun. Venus actually absorbs 93% more, or Venus actually receives 93% more radiation than Earth does. Venus receives 93% more radiation than Earth does. Venus, however, is completely covered in sulfuric acid clouds. Now, I know what you're thinking, sulfuric acid, that is a very potent acid. I once spilled some on a piece of paper one time and it looked like the paper had burnt. So sulfuric acid is very, very potent, but it's also very, very, very reflective. As a result, Venus has a much higher albedo. And the numbers range anywhere between 70 to 80%. Once again, depending on what source you look at, roughly 70 to 80%. Earth, however, has an albedo of closer to 30%. Earth, however, has an albedo closer to 30%. Yeah, Venus is by far the more reflective planet of the two. Earth's albedo is 30%. Venus's albedo is at a minimum 70%. That means that Earth absorbs 70%. Since it reflects 30, it absorbs 70% of the sunlight that strikes it. Venus, on the other hand, only absorbs 30% of the sunlight that strikes it. When taking these two things into account, I actually had to use actual numbers in the last module activity, but let's actually assume that Earth receives 100 units of radiation from the sun. Venus, because Venus receives 93% more, receives 193. Well, Earth absorbs 70% of those 100 units. So as a result, Earth absorbs 70 units of radiation. Venus, on the other hand, even though it actually receives more sunlight, it actually absorbs less, because Venus only absorbs at a maximum 30% of what it gets. So in that case, Venus only absorbs around 58 units of sunlight. Taking these two things into account, Earth absorbs more sunlight than Venus does. Yet, Venus is way hotter than it should be. If just those two things were taken into account, distance and albedo, Venus would be colder than Earth, even though it's the second closest planet to the sun. However, that's not true. Earth's average temperature is 15 degrees Celsius or 59 degrees Fahrenheit. Venus's average temperature is a sweaty, sultry 480 degrees Celsius or 896 Fahrenheit. As a result, Venus absorbs less sunlight, but is way, way, way hotter. So let's actually finish what we started last time. Why is Venus hotter than Earth? Venus is hotter than Earth for two reasons. Venus is hotter than Earth for two reasons. Reason number one, Earth has a very, very, very low percentage of greenhouse gases. In fact, 99% of Earth's atmosphere is nitrogen and oxygen. Carbon dioxide only makes up around 0.04% of Earth's atmosphere. Now, with that being said, that's still twice what it was, a little bit over twice, or a little bit less than twice than what it was 200 years ago. So Earth's carbon dioxide effect has definitely still gone up, and it's still something we need to be concerned about. But Venus's atmosphere is actually 96.5% carbon dioxide. So Venus's atmosphere is mostly carbon dioxide. And additionally, Venus's atmosphere is 92 times as heavy as Earth's atmosphere. That's why we're concerned about it. That is why we're concerned about Venus. That is why we're concerned about Venus. Earth's atmosphere is, so that's the second reason. Earth's atmosphere is way lighter than Venus's. So Earth's atmosphere is not made up of a lot of carbon dioxide. Venus's atmosphere is made up of a ton of carbon dioxide. And Venus's atmosphere is 92 times as heavy as Earth's atmosphere is. So the end result, Venus is much hotter than Earth, even though it actually absorbs less radiation than Earth, because its atmosphere is so heavy and so full of carbon dioxide that the greenhouse effect there has run amok. Now, are we ever going to end up like Venus? Not in our lifetimes, not in our children's lifetimes, not in our grandchildren's lifetimes, but as Earth continues to heat up, as carbon dioxide concentrations continue to go up, we do have reason to be concerned. We do have reasons to be concerned. Now, next week, I'm actually going to talk a little bit more about what caused all of this to happen. Why is Earth's carbon dioxide concentrations going up? But Venus simply retains more of the heat that it gets than Earth does. So even though Venus actually receives or absorbs less of the heat that it gets, it retains it way better than Earth does. And as a result, it is way, 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 way hotter. It is way, way, way hotter.